Virtual apps are applications that are optimized to run in a virtual environment. Simply put, a virtual app simply runs on a computer without being installed on it. So remote apps are a popular virtual app delivery solution wherein the virtual applications installed on a server are delivered to users' devices. These applications are not installed on the user's device. Instead, software called a client is installed on the device that connects to the server, and the application is present as screenshots sent to the device. This next short video will explain how virtual apps work and their connectivity to the server.
Architecturally speaking, what we end up having is a cloud-hosted environment as well as an on-prem environment. In our cloud environment, we have the virtual apps and desktop service, we have the workspace experience, and then the gateway service. In the on-prem data center, we implement cloud connectors that create secure outbound connections to those cloud services. From there, the cloud connector is able to allow the cloud services to create and manage your on-prem virtual desktops. They could be Windows published applications, Windows desktops, or Linux apps and desktops as well. Once that environment's set up, a user who can be external or internal will make a connection to the workspace experience and select the appropriate application or desktop they want to access. Once they select that, Workspace will create this connection between the user as well as the virtual desktop via the gateway service, so it will be able to secure that communication across public network links.
How can I maximize performance? With normal applications, the software is installed locally on your hard drive, loads a large number of files, data libraries, DLLs, executables, and those sorts of things. When you run the software on your computer, it consumes part of your computer processing unit, CPU, your graphics processing unit, GPU, and a significant amount of RAM, random access memory. When you're running a virtual application, the grunt or the CPU component is run on the server side. Also, some of the GPU or the graphics processing component is done at the server end, and the cloud system just sends you screenshots of the image associated with the application. So though it may look like a normal application on the screen, it's just a graphic which has been designed to work such that when you click on a specific location where a button would be, then that button is processed. So in essence, you're seeing screenshots of what would normally appear on the computer. This has a number of different implications associated with it. So it's not so much that you need a large amount of memory or a CPU, and it's not even very aggressive on your graphics card. What it does require is bandwidth on your network connection. So the faster your network connection, the better the application is going to run. So there's a number of things that you can do that's going to improve that. Firstly, if you're running a VPN or virtual personal network, something like private internet, one of those types of software packages that allows you to encrypt your data to and from, these are going to massively slow down the amount of information that can come across the network, especially given the way that virtual applications work. So first recommendation is to turn off all VPNs so that you can maximize your bandwidth. The other applications that tend to consume your bandwidth are things like Dropbox or the Google equivalent or your OneDrive. Those are going to be continuously polling to and from the internet to look to see if there are new updates, and if there is, then it's going to start downloading files across the network, and that's going to chew up your bandwidth. The next recommendation is not to be sitting there streaming videos in the background. You've got a limited amount of pipe, and the more of the bandwidth that you can save for running the application, the faster and the more responsive it's going to be. If you find that you're starting to get pixelization or weird things like that occurring, then that's often a result of slow bandwidth, and you're not getting the image across at the speed necessary. So any other applications like peer-to-peer software, those types of things, are all going to chew up your bandwidth. So your best option is to shut down as many applications that are going to be using the internet while you're running the software. This will reduce the competition for the limited bandwidth that you've got. If you're doing a tutorial, for example, from Flow, then you're best off downloading the video to your local computer and watching it while you're able to process using your virtual software. So this video will take you through doing the install of the virtual app client from Citrix in order to be able to use the virtual apps. So you type in virtualapps.flinders.edu.au, and that'll bring you to the detect screen. So you click detect. It hasn't detected the software, so now I agree to the Citrix license agreement and click the download button, and now that's going to download the software. I've already downloaded this to a local drive, so I'm going to run that install. So the download can take about 10 minutes depending on your internet connection. If you've got a slow internet connection, it'll take a little bit longer. What it'll do is it assesses the computer that you're on and downloads the prerequisites that it needs. So I'm going to start this process. Our license code is already installed as part of the app, so I'll now just run the install. And it's initializing the install. It's going to go and have a look, and you'll need to make sure that you have administrator rights. Now on yours you might find that this is where it can take up to 10 minutes to download the different components. Because I've already run this on the computer, it's not going to take anywhere near as long. So now it's initializing and the install is now successful. So depending on the install that you've done, mine's going to ask me for an address. If I'm running the existing one, then I won't need to add this in. So I'm just going to put in virtualapps.flinders.edu.au and add that account. So it's now going off to the Flinders website and verifying me. So now I'm going to add my user login information. You may get asked if you want the app to be part of your single sign-on, which means that every time, like your Flow login, it remembers who you are when you come in. So this is now going through and collecting the information for my Citrix, and now I have my apps available to me that I want to use. So I can run any of these apps in a virtual environment. So in this particular case, I'm running from within the app itself. I can also run from within the web browser, and that will open up the same options to me. One of the issues a number of people have had is the mouse lining up with the location of the buttons. So you may need and I'd recommend most people do this, to set the advanced preferences so that it uses the resolution that you need. So this can easily be done by, down in the right hand side, you'll see where your taskbar is. In some cases you'll see it on the screen, other times you'll need to press the little arrow for it to come up. You will see an icon, a blue icon with white circles on it. So if you right click onto the icon, go to Advanced Preferences, you'll see a couple of lists. You want to go to High DPI and say yes. This will set the dot per inch to the same resolution as your computer. So let's have a look at some tips and tricks. So the first tip in my book is to use the apps as opposed to the web browser version. This seems to give you more consistent production at the end, as opposed to needing to change web browser because the university's made an update and it doesn't work in Chrome anymore, or it doesn't work in an Explorer, or those sorts of things. My second tip is to always either save to your U drive or a local drive, but never save in the My Documents area, because this is going to be deleted when you shut down your virtual app. Having said that, we've got a special arrangement put in place for some of the students in one of the topics. So if there is a D drive available to you within the software, then you'll be able to save to that D drive, and that'll be available to you each time you log into the virtual apps. This will only be available for those doing the Python topic and potentially the remote sensing topic, if we can get it, well, the photogrammetry topic, sorry, if we can get that set up in time. The last tip is to use whatever application you're using in full screen mode. When you're using it within a window, your computer is, your graphics card is trying to render both your background as well as what you're presenting on the screen through the app. So if you run in full screen mode, you'll get a much better result, and the whole lot will operate a lot quicker. So that's it for my tips and tricks. I hope you enjoy using the virtual apps. Hopefully we will be back on campus and you won't need to use it going forward.